All right. Why did I join the Air Force right out of high school? Let me tell you a story, folks. People watching this, forward to all the kids in high school, people graduating. Because you got hundreds of thousands of kids graduating now, and they don't have a plan. You have to have a plan. And why did I join the Air Force? I wasn't anything great. I think I was maybe ranked 125 out of the class, so I was top 25%. Which was pretty good in a New England school. When I took the test, I scored in the 90s. Of course, the ASVAB military test is written on a 9th grade level, and all it takes a 31 to get in the military. You want to go, Army infantry or something. But subscribe, thumbs up, share the information, forward this information. Watch my other videos on my playlist about the military, and I'll show you how to get rich in the military. But what I did in it was 1979, a buddy came to me and said, "What are you doing after high school?" Of course, standard answered, "I was going to college." And he said, "Who's paying for it?" "Well, I don't know, I guess my parents." Well, I guess that's the wrong answer. So he said he joined the Marine Corps, and he thought I should join the Marine Corps too, because at that time, if you sucker a buddy, you got a stripe in the Marine Corps. That program probably still exists. But next day, I talked to the Air Force recruiter. Of course, step one is take the test. I aced the test. He said, "You can have any job you want in the Air Force." I said, "Oh, great. I want to be a pilot." Because I was a dumbass. I was a kid. And he said, "No, you need a 4-year college degree and perfect eyesight, the perfect human being. Air Force pilots are the greatest humans on this planet has to offer." That's just common sense. You gotta strap yourself in a multi-$500 million machine that the government pays for. They're not just letting anybody in it. But so I joined. I graduated high school early in February, and I took law enforcement as my first job. And because I was thinking about retirement at that time, even as a 17-year-old kid, because my thought was 4 years, I grow up a little bit, I make some money, get some training, get to fire guns, ooh. And if war broke out, I want to have a gun and I want to know how to use it. And at that time in 1980, Iran and Iraq were fighting. But I'll continue the story. So I was graduated boot camp, which is only 6 weeks in the Air Force. If you live life like Air Force basic training, you will live forever. Because that's an hour of exercise a day. You go to bed at 9 o'clock p.m., up at 5 a.m., hour of low impact aerobics. They build you up to run 1.5 miles in sneakers, shorts and sneakers. Wasn't that way when I was there in Texas in February. But then you got 3 square meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you only got 15 minutes to eat. And that's why 30% of the US population is overweight, because it's portion control, and they take hours to eat. And all this crap about eat slower and all. Yeah, don't listen to every doctor, and you probably need to listen to military folks. But so an hour of low impact aerobics, 3 square meals a day, 15-minute meals, and you're mostly classroom work, studying, reading. Wherever you go, you walk or you march or you run, and that keeps you healthy all day long. You live like that every day of your life, you live forever. But I joined, I thought about getting a pension. I stayed in 20 years if it's not that bad, which it really isn't. And if not, I've got money for college, and nowadays GI Bill can't be beat. You pay for any state college. Guys were learning how to fly helicopters at $600,000 on the GI Bill. You start with the small ones, go up to the big ones. And what else does the military have to offer? Make sure you forward this to all the kids in high school or up to age 28. Talk to a recruiter. Money, you make more money in the military than you do graduating college nowadays. Believe it or not, do your research, go talk to a recruiter. Because This is 2024. When you graduate college, average, you're making $56,000 a year. You know, Gen Z doesn't realize that, but they think they're making six figures. Not true. And of course, depends on where you're at, in New York City, LA, or you in Arkansas. And then the military, after 4 years, so again, you're getting paid those 4 years, well, college kids going in debt. If you make E5 in 4 years, you're making $68,000 a year with rent money and food money, and life is good at that point. If you make E5, does everyone make E5? No, in 4 years. I know in the Air Force, if you didn't make it in 10 years, they put you out. Get overweight in the Air Force, you're out. You know, do drugs, you're out. You know, get in trouble, commit crime, you're out. That's why inner city kids, they struggle. You know, Miami, Detroit, New York, LA, Chicago, Detroit. You know, did I say Detroit? You know, I was in there and I saw those folks struggle because they're just inner city, and it's got nothing to do with race, color. It's social economics, what they're used to their whole life. Following rules is not one of them. When I recruited in Miami, even the principal would tell me, out of that high school, 30% society would take care of, which meant they're going to prison because all they want to do is fight, drop out of school. And in reality, if they stayed in school, graduated, went in the military, they probably would have lived a far better life. But the military has to offer is better money. You know, at 20 years as an E7, which is basic, you're making over six figures, over 100,000. So people at 37, 38, 39, 40 at retirement age, you're making 100,000. You get 40% of your base pay, which is, I don't know, right now it's probably $2,200, $2,500 a month. Staying in 30 years, you get 75% of your pay. When I went in, it was 50%, but you're making more money. So the pension at 20 years can't be beat. Plus nowadays they also have a 401k. And what I did while I was in the military, I made them give me something every time it was time to re-enlist. So I had 3 jobs. I started off as law enforcement. I did that for 5 years. Then I went civil engineering. Did that for 3 years. You know, I got a degree in criminal justice that the Air Force paid for. Got a degree in mechanical and electrical technology, Air Force paid for. Then my last 12 years, I went to Air Force recruiting duty. And I got a bachelor's in business administration, the Air Force paid for. So 3 college degrees, thanks to the government. And that's me, you know, doing what I'm told. You pay me, I work. That's what I get paid for. I had 6 assignments. You know, my first assignment was in Florida, which, you know, it's an adventure. It was paradise, Panama City, Florida. That used to be like Playboy's. You know, Playboy's still in business. One of their top destinations for, you know, college kids for a spring break. And I was stationed there, living in a spring break every day of my life for the first 3 years. Then I went to London. A 21-year-old kid in London. And at that point, I was the night shift supervisor, then the day shift supervisor, and the cops. And we had a Ministry of Defense, you know, British cops there too. So, you know, anything exciting happened, usually I was on duty. You know, we had protesters or, you know, these homeless folks park their tents outside our base and get stupid every now and then, try to cut down the American flag, or, you know, cut through the fence and come through in a box. And, you know, but typically we had good intelligence, and we just took them down fast and efficiently, and the Ministry of Defense would, you know, lock them up and destroy their lives. But that was life in London. After London, Charleston Air Force Base, South Carolina. Now, I changed jobs. You know, for me to re-enlist first time, I want to go overseas. They sent me overseas. For me to stay in after that point, I want to change jobs. They changed jobs. I thought I was going to be a loadmaster, fly around the world, but they gave me my first choice, which was civil engineering. And that was a good gig. I mean, that's why it taught me how to do things, like a modified electrician. And also, when I was in the military, I bought property. You know, I bought my first house on my 3rd assignment in Charleston, South Carolina. So, life was good. So from Charleston, that's when, again, I changed jobs again and went recruiting duty. And I went to Miami. Of course, you gotta love the military, because what I tell them, this is a good story too. I should do individual videos on each story about recruiting duty, because I was having a hard time dealing with our commander and first sergeant at Charleston Air Force Base in civil engineering. So when they came on base to recruit the recruiter team, I went and talked to them. They said, here, fill this out, have your commander sign it. So I took it from the commander, and that a-hole said, I'm not signing that. You don't have the personality to be a recruiter. And I just, you know, you just walk away, folks. And I took it to the recruiter team saying, commander won't sign off on it. He just smiled and laughed, says, they don't sign off on the best folks. And next thing I know, which was good, I probably ticked them off. I told them I'll go anywhere in Florida but Miami. So where'd they send me? North Miami Beach. I said go anywhere in Florida but Miami. He says, that's not Miami, that's North Miami Beach, which was paradise. And I was there for 5 years. I also worked in the Doral Country Club, where the processing station was in Miami. Had a convertible. Life was beautiful. Met my lovely bride. And from Miami, of course, I'm always getting in trouble, ticking somebody off. That's another story. Because some beautiful little Barbie girl, she had a GED. And she had like the rules were, if you had a GED, you need a 50 on the test to get in the Air Force. She had like a 46. So I looked at her and I said, who do you know? Well, lo and behold, yeah, she knew a general. I said, really? Okay. I said, well, here, you get this super duper waiver. Anyone gives you a hard time, just told her the rules. I remember that day clearly. And that little girl, I guess she told her general daddy that I called him a name or something. Next thing I know, my commander's talking to me. I'm in deep trouble. I'm going, I don't even know what you're talking about. I just told her about, she had a super duper waiver. And, you know, I told her the rules, you really didn't qualify because you need the 50 with a GED. And I talked to her recruiter. Recruiter said, which again was another beautiful girl, said, oh, I just treat her like everybody else. You know, nothing special about her. But she didn't say that about the super duper waiver to get in the military, because, you know, it's who you know. Well, next thing I know, commander's calling me up going, you got options. You want to go to Michigan or you want to go to Indiana? My worst assignment I'd get, only because I didn't like the South. I mean, I love the South. I didn't like the North. I came from the North. It's cold up north. So I said, I guess I'll take Indiana, Indianapolis. I'll take the city. But of course, at this time, I'm also investing in real estate. So I had one house in South Carolina, 2 houses in Miami. You know, girlfriend at the time, future wife. Eventually, she had a couple houses too. You know, once you hook up with me, you learn about real estate. You know, watch my other videos on real estate. But so I was in Indiana for 3 years, man. I was going to college. I was a supervisor out there, and you know, I could have went to Japan as a recruiter, which would have been fantastic. But I was in the middle of getting my bachelor's degree, and I just sort of signed the commander's name and got out of that assignment. Oops. And continued my education, and I got my bachelor's degree. And then there, because they gave me a hard time in Indianapolis, because at the time, that's another story, my worst assignment, Indianapolis, Indiana, the chief and commander, well, they fired me from being a supervisor, which made me, and said, you go recruit the medical staff, which, again, a fantastic opportunity to recruit doctors and nurses and pharmacists for the military, which I did that. And of course, back to excelling. And then they realized they put their boy in my position that, of course, failed miserably. And explained to him that I did all the right things. And I explained to him that Indianapolis used to be a #1 station for recruiting for the Air Force when they had goals of 6. And they gave me goals of 18. And I'd hit goals of 12 by, you know, I can beat the donkeys and the mules as hard as anyone else. beat the horses, getting the most productivity out of them. I'm not proud of it, but that's the way it was. And but I couldn't make goals more than 12. And you know, give me a goal of 18 wasn't practical, wasn't feasible, wasn't able to. When they were excelled, they had goals of 6. Okay, but later on, the first sergeant, or the E9, apologized that they screwed me over, and they admitted it. And I went on to Savannah as my last assignment. So that's your typical military. I had 6 assignments: Florida, London, UK, South Carolina, Florida, Indiana, my worst assignment, and Savannah, Georgia. And loved all my assignments, got my 3 degrees, bought real estate. I think I capped out at like 7 properties, because I had, 1 in South Carolina, 2 in Florida, 3 properties in Indiana where I bought a couple of duplexes. And in Georgia, I bought another 3 properties. And 1 was a quadplex. You know, 1 was a VA foreclosure. I think the other one was another foreclosure too. And I'd fix them up, clean them up. And me and the lovely bride, that's what we did. So then I started selling the properties in my 50s and paying everything off. Now I'm in my 60s. I can still run 2-3 miles a day. Money's good. And that's why I forward this to the kids in school or kids struggling out there. If they're under age 28, they're much better off in the military. It's not that hard. Watch my other videos. If you got half a brain, you go, you know, Air Force or Space Command. If you can only score 31 on a test, you know, Army, Marines, Navy. Actually, I think the Navy would even drop it. They're very, you know, they're into the race issue. I think the Army was like 30% black. Air Force struggles to keep at least, so they try their best to keep it at 10% black, minorities. The Navy struggles very hard and makes all sorts of concessions, lowering test scores and everything else to keep their ratios up, because the military is an excellent opportunity for anyone and everyone. And you know, I get a lot of comments about, oh, people, it's woke now and this and that. Well, every job is now woke. So I get my emails about show your gay pride, transgender, and this history, that history, Women's Month. It's always been that way. It always will be. Changes with the presidential elections, and Congress changes every 2 years. It is all political. But thumbs up, subscribe, share the information, share the information. Share the information with the kids in school. 18 to 28, they're not making 6 figures. In their mid-30s, they're much better off in the military. Would have been much better off in the military. So parents, grandparents, you know, just be careful, because 30% of the U.S. now is overweight. 20% have mental health problems. You know, 1% join the military. And of that 1%, only 10% go into combat. So your chances of going to combat, slim to none. Did I see combat? Not at all. 20 years Air Force. I retired in 2000, getting a pension. I think I started off at $1,800. It's now up to $2,200 a month. And healthcare used to be free. Now I think I pay $35 a month or something for healthcare. Much better than me paying $700 a month through my job to get Blue Cross Blue Shield. But again, thumbs up, share, leave a comment, and think seriously about joining the military. It's an excellent way of life.